Go.
I'm Nick. I'm going to talk about Led Zeppelin today. A little bit of background on the group. They were formed in 1968 in London, England. They're a blues rock, rock and roll, metal, folk, I guess you could almost say country band. They use everything from guitar, bass, mandolin, piano, tons of different instruments throughout the years. Consisted of forming band members. Jimmy Page played the guitar. You have Robert Plant on vocals. John Paul Jones was the main bassist and keyboardist, and John Bonham played the drums. A little more background on them. Like I said, they were formed in 1968, active for about 12 years. They had 2 reunions in the 80s, 1 reunion in the 90s, and their latest reunion was in 2007. They're formed from the remains of the Yardbirds. They were a blues rock band from London. They had people like Jeff Beck. They had Eric Clapton. Robert Plant came from them, and so did Jimmy Page. They have deep influences in many blues rock bands and performers such as Muddy Waters and Skip James. They toured the world during the 70s, which was their biggest time. They were the biggest band in the world during the 70s. They absorbed as much musical culture as they could wherever they went. Like I said, it was a world tour throughout the 70s, so they got a little bit of everything where they went, incorporating many different ideas and sounds from everywhere. And a lot of the band members had played in past bands, like I said, the Yardbirds. I believe John Paul Jones had played for the Rolling Stones in certain gigs over the years as well. And then in late 1980, John Bonham passed away, and it halted the group's North American tour, and they decided to disband, and they've only had reunion tours since then. They haven't been together for a while. Alright, these are their 9 albums that they created over the course of 13 years. Got Led Zeppelin 1, Led Zeppelin 2, Led Zeppelin 3, and Led Zeppelin 4, better known as Runes or the Untitled album. These 4 albums were created in the span of just about 2 years, and this is where most of all the music they had written was written in those 2 years, and it was used in later albums. In Through the Outdoor was the only album after House is the Holy that actually just had brand new music on it. It was entirely new. All the other things were outtakes from other albums or other recording sessions. Coda in 1982 obviously was put out after Bonham's death, was basically just a collection of all recordings that was never used throughout the years in any song. Some people heard them live, but they had never been put in albums before. Okay, about their first 2 albums, it featured heavy blues rocks tracks. There was a lot of, 12-bar blues. It had a lot of, I guess you could say, that 1-2-3 beat blues. Also a lot of use of heavy guitar solos, heavy bass riffs throughout. They had changed throughout. Some songs were blues rocks, some songs were heavy rock. I would guess you consider metal at the time. All right, and I'm gonna play a little clip of "I Can't Quit You, Baby" here. Now this is a very blues rock song. It's actually a remake from the Otis Rush original, as you can hear here. Got that 12 bars blue on that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And listen to the rest of the song. It's got a heavy solo throughout, mostly done by Page. Now this is more of their heavy rock metal songs. This is Heartbreaker. Very popular song on tour back in the 70s for them. This is one of those ones with power chords, heavy bass riff. It's got the guitar solo throughout in the middle. solo from. This is where Page has his own section here. This was common in a lot of their songs, blues alike, rock alike, metal, even the folk songs. Page would take a good chunk of the song to play a good solo here. Like I said, it combines that blues rock and that metal all in one. You can hear the blues tinge, even in the solos here. Moving on, their next two albums were Led Zeppelin 3 and Led Zeppelin 4 was called, but it was actually an untitled album. The inside cover featured 4 runes in the corner, one for each band member, so I guess it's better known as the Runes album or Untitled. These albums were made within the same 2 years that the first 2 albums were made, so they also contain, very heavy use of guitar, bass riff, that bluesy twang sound. They began to incorporate other instruments such as, acoustic guitar. They wanted to bring in like a folk sound. They also started introducing synthesizers, phasers, and echoes in all of their songs. I'm going to play this song. It's called Brawn Your Stomp. It's actually named after the cottage that Page and Plant retired to after their 1970 tour. And this is really where they wrote mostly all of the songs that made Led Zeppelin famous. And this is just actually recorded in the cottage itself. And this is also very like a folky song. Use of the acoustic guitar. In this song, if you listen closely, Bonham, the drummer, he actually plays the spoons and the castanets in here. And I believe John Paul Jones is playing a fretless 5-finger bass here, so different use of instruments in this song. And I get that up, down, down beat going here. That 1, 2. So you can see that has more of a folky sound to it. Them all playing different instruments. And then, now this song was off Led Zeppelin 4, one of the more famous songs called When the Levee Breaks. This one was actually recorded at a different tempo than what it sounds at to give that kind of sludgy sound to the harmonica in the guitar there. You'll see what I mean here. That heavy, the bass riff at the bottom, you can hear it throughout. Just want to go to the end to talk about one of their effects quickly. They used this backwards effect at the end of this song. It was a combination of the harmonica, the phaser, and the echo all being played backwards on the track, all with Plant's voice kind of swirling in the middle to create, like, I guess, a panning effect at the end. It's kind of had been used before, but it was kind of new and different in the rock scene here for a band to be doing these type of effects at the end of a song or use in any song. You can hear Plant going throughout the song. Okay, we move on. So then you have Houses of the Holy and later albums. I say later albums mostly because albums like Presence and Physical Graffiti were all some new songs, but nothing. None of the albums were entirely new except for In Through the Outdoor. It was mostly just outtakes from other albums, remakes, re-recordings and stuff. This is where they got really, I guess experimental. They get into that blues rock metal, and then they go into folk, even a little bit of country. They incorporate instruments like the mandolin and the piano. They have the castanets again, the spoons in different songs. Just basically everything they sucked up from their world tour they wanted to use in there. This next song I'm going to play is called Boogie with Stu, named after Ian Stewart. He was actually the pianist and road manager for the Rolling Stones throughout the 70s. and he would come and do recordings with them every now and then. I guess this one sounded really good. It has a, I guess you could say, a good country folk sound to it, and they have Stu on the piano here. That's Stu on the piano, and you'll hear Plant playing the mandolin later. I mean, Page playing the mandolin later. Plant will play the rhythm guitar. Then of course you got, Plant's famous vocals coming over, erratic, yelling like that. What a folky country sound of that one. The last song I'll play you is "Fool in the Rain." This song, the piano and the bass play a polyrhythmic texture. They're playing in 6 beats per meter, while the rest of the band is playing in 4 beats per meter to give that kind of, on a triple note, it's like an up-down. It almost sounds as if the band isn't even together, because it's just that clash of sound together. But it all comes together nicely if you listen to the way the piano plays in contrast with the guitar and even Plant singing. So you can hear the piano and the bass playing that bum 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 bum, and then you have the rest of the band just playing in 4/4 time over the rest of the song. So clashing all together, it sounds good. Say this is almost more of a pop song too. Like I said, when they're experimenting in the later years and their later albums, I think this was from In Through the Outdoor from 1979. So sure, it was recorded somewhere throughout the 70s, but it was never put on album until 1979. In Through the Outdoor. Okay. In conclusion, like I said, Led Zeppelin has deep roots in the blues, getting from the Yardbirds, from Muddy Waters. They played a lot of rock, heavy rock. I'm sure you've heard "Stairway to Heaven" is one of the more famous songs that, probably the most famous song from Led Zeppelin, very famous song. That has everything from like a bluesy feel, and it even ends up in metal when they're in the solo at the end, and they even, like I said, they play folk, country. In their later album, Coda, they actually even incorporated some reggae into there, I guess more reggae-y, some 50s doo-wop in a few songs. Like I said, they're one of the biggest bands of the 70s. Not saying this because they're one of the only 2 bands to ever have 5 albums in the top 100 selling albums all time in the United States, the other band being the Beatles. Like I said, they experiment with many different genres, many different instruments, mandolin, piano, castanets, anything, you name it, they've incorporated into all their songs. I believe that's it. Thank you.